Hi everyone, welcome back to another week of Zoo School. I'm Keaton with the Tulsa Zoo Education Department, and I just want to thank our members for watching and sharing these videos. Without you, we wouldn't be able to continue doing these awesome programs. This week for Zoo School, we're going to be focusing on Oklahoma native flora and fauna. And I'm here at the Tulsa Zoo Oklahoma Trail, which helps represent 5 of our major vegetation zones. And those zones are short grass prairie, mixed grass prairie, tall grass prairie, and right here in Tulsa, we live in the cross timbers. And then you have the eastern forest, which can be oak forest, pine forest, or even a mix of both. And lady here, which is our red-tailed hawk, she is found in all 5 of these 5 vegetation zones. Red-tailed hawks are one of the most common raptor species you see right here in Oklahoma. They help control our rodent population, and they are identified by that bright red tail that they have, which is how they get their name. But they don't get that bright red tail until they're about 2 years old. But red-tailed hawks, like I said, help control the rodent population. They also eat a number of different things, such as reptiles and even other birds. In addition to Lady, our red-tailed hawk here, we have an incredibly diverse variety of wildlife right here in Oklahoma. We have everything from pronghorn, which can be found out in western Oklahoma, to bison, which can be found in central Oklahoma, and even alligators are considered a native species here in Oklahoma. And in addition to our very diverse wildlife, we have an incredibly diverse landscape as well. We have over 11,000 miles of shoreline and over 200 lakes right here in Oklahoma. In our incredibly diverse state, since we do live right in the center of the United States, we are in the path of many migratory raptors, as well as songbirds, waterfowl, and even butterflies. So monarch butterflies are an incredibly important pollinator that we have right here in Oklahoma, and they have a very special relationship with some of the plants. And Gabby's going to expand on that a little bit later in one of our pollinator gardens. But for now, let's take a hike through our native Oklahoma trails. Here at the Oklahoma Trail Garden at the Tulsa Zoo, we're going to start with our prickly pear plant. Many people don't know that we do have a native cactus species right here in Oklahoma, and it can be found all across the state. And it's a very important plant because many animals will actually eat the fruit that grows off of this succulent. And as we continue down our Oklahoma trails, we have some winged sumac. And this winged sumac is easily identified because on the branches, it actually looks like it has wings coming out of it. And then here you can compare the winged sumac to our fragrant sumac, which does have a little bit smoother of a branch. And then right here you can see a redbud tree, which is one of our state's symbols. It is our state tree. And as we continue down our Oklahoma Trail, you can take in all of this beautiful natural beauty and all these plants along this trail you can find across the state of Oklahoma. You do get a little bit of a peek of one of our wetlands we have here at the Tulsa Zoo, and we'll get a little bit closer view as we come along this beautiful trail. Here with the wetlands, you can see a ton of aquatic plants. And this is a very similar habitat that you would see down in southeastern Oklahoma. These aquatic plants provide wonderful shelter for all sorts of animals. That even includes the alligator that is native to Oklahoma. And here we have our bur oak. And this bur oak is found in our eastern forest. And you can identify this tree because it produces huge acorns with a very large top, which is pretty neat. And as we come along our Oklahoma Trail, you can see more of the oak species we have. Here we have a pretty neat tree. This is called sassafras, and this is easily identified because the leaves look like turkey feet, and they even have some normally shaped oval leaves as well. And then back here, another tree you can find in the eastern forest is the white ash. And then right over here we have our eastern red cedar. And this is actually a very special tree because even though it is a native species that grows naturally here in Oklahoma, it is classified as an encroachment species, which means even though it's a native and it's not an invasive foreign species, it is still causing quite a few problems in our grasslands and our prairies. That's the end of our Oklahoma trails. Now we're gonna move on to our pollinator garden with Gabby to learn more about our native pollinators.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed your tour through the Oklahoma Trail with Keaton. I'm here to talk a little bit about pollination and some more native flowering species. You can hear our Simings in the background, and they are not native to here in Oklahoma, but they want to be heard. So let's take a little walk through our pollinator garden. The point of this garden here at the Tulsa Zoo is to show you guys the variety of plants that you can have at home. And we have signs throughout this garden that tell you a little bit about the purpose of these plants. So for those of you that don't know, pollination is a process that takes pollen from one flower to another flower. To get a little bit more technical, you will take the pollen from a male part of a flower and it will get transferred to the female part of another flower. So now that we know what pollination is, what's a pollinator? Pollinators range from several different species, from butterflies, bees, even wasps and flies. And in fact, here in Oklahoma, we have a thriving bat population that acts as pollinators as well, which is pretty cool. So a pollinator, like a bee or a butterfly, will go to a part of a plant like this yarrow plant here, and it will go in to get the nectar, which is really sweet to them, and they'll go from one plant all the way over to another flower of the same plant, and that pollen from the first plant will get in on the flower of the second plant, and pollination takes place. And that's how we get fruits and even seeds. In fact, animals populate 80 to 90% of our flowers and crops. As you can see here, we have pollinator habitat. And Keaton mentioned earlier that we are right in the middle of the migratory path of the monarch butterfly. These butterflies will fly thousands of miles in a matter of months. It's really cool. But they need stopover places. And you can create that by creating a habitat. What you will need is different species of flowers, plants, grasses, and shrubs to provide shade, direct sun, different kinds of nectar, all sorts of stuff that monarchs will need to continue on their migration. So if you're wanting to start a garden at home, a butterfly garden, and you want it to look a little bit like this, you'll need plants like coneflower, yarrow, different types of grasses like blue stem or switchgrass, and even trees like this sumac we have here. This will provide different areas for your pollinators to go to. If you walk with me right over here, I want to show you how pollination can take place. So this is a really quick activity that you guys can do at home with your kids. All you need is some construction paper, a marker, and then some type of powder. I used chalk in the middle. You can also use Kool-Aid packets, which is kind of cool. And you'll take a Q-tip or a cotton ball. You rub it on one flower. So this is my bee or butterfly, my pollinator. And they went in to get some nectar, and then they decided they wanted some more nectar, so they went to another plant, got some nectar, and they rubbed their bodies all over the pollen. And you can see the orange and the yellow mixing. And then they wanted a little bit more nectar because they're still hungry. So they went to another plant and got all that nectar and rubbed their bodies all over the pollen. So you can see that my bee or my pollinator has all different colors of pollen on them. And what that does is they went from each flower and they've pollinated it. So they've taken pollen from one flower and taken it to another flower, which is really cool because if we didn't have pollinators, we wouldn't have things like apples or even alfalfa grass to feed our dairy cows. So they serve very important purposes. And in fact, our state insect is the honeybee, and bees are really important pollinators. And they will take the nectar from their plants and they'll take it back to their hive and make honey, which we all love. That's all I have for you guys here today at our Oklahoma garden. And remember, if you guys want to plant a butterfly garden at your house or a pollinator garden, you can visit here for some ideas on looks and different types of plants. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on Tour Tuesday.